Hello, how are you doing? Um, Tonight, uh, we're gonna talk about a legend, Pops. The Life of Louis Armstrong was written by Terry Teachout. Um, as many of you, I was introduced to Louis Armstrong for that song "What a Wonderful World." It's, actually, it's a very beautiful song, but it was like they played so much that we got fed up with that. Anyway, um, it's interesting because normally I'm very. If you see the other videos, you can see I'm very rock guy, rock, metal, punk guy. Um, but then there are some artists that it doesn't matter the style of music you listen to. And I was thinking that I saw the biography at the bookstore, and I said, maybe this guy should have a interesting life. And I was not disappointed. Actually, I was surprised about the life of Louis Armstrong. First of all, because of his some things that I didn't know. For example, that he used to smoke marijuana a lot. And at the time they call people jazz musicians who smoke marijuana, they call them vipers, and they call it the marijuana they call a reefer. You know, they used to do it. Um, because I didn't have this image because I saw him in the suit and tie and all, uh, dressed nicely, and I couldn't fancy that. We have, if you said to me, Charlie Parker smoking reefer, I say, oh, of course, good for him. But when you see Louis Armstrong, so it was a surprise for me. Another thing, there's many interesting scenes in this because it shows the development of Louis Armstrong. First playing in different bands, um, at the time, big bands, until he got like recognition as not just as a trumpet player, but also as a singer, because actually first he was a trumpet player. And that's interesting because people used to think he was a singer at first, but he became singer later. First he was a musician playing the trumpets. And it's also interesting because if I never studied horn instrument, but I read and heard in many places many people say that if you play any horn instrument, you are ready to sing. I saw this. I remember now. Ronnie James Dio. He didn't have singing classes. He was learning how to sing by playing horn instruments. That's interesting too. It's also good to say one very interesting point about Armstrong because he gave uh, some of his ideas of life. For example, he said that a traveling musician, must have more than one girlfriend, but this girlfriend must live at least 100 miles of distance one to each other. So, and he said that because you need somebody to take care of you in the road, because the band managers, they give a fuck to you, give your money, say fuck you, man, do what you have to do. And that's and also he implies in this affirmation that when you have different girlfriends, if one of them breaks up with you, you say okay, one less. You don't get desperate and all these things. At least I understand this way what he said, uh, and also showed he had problems with his health in the end of life. Mostly because when you are a traveling musician, when you have to work, when you have to work your butts off, you don't take care too much about your health, And this is another interesting thing that I got in here. It's like pay attention to way you live because it will be charged from you in the future. Even if you don't think you're gonna have a long future. So that's a great. There is also, I remember now, a scene. There was one white girl, was watching him play. Before he plays, she was like a racist old lady. And he started to say, "Oh, this monkey, whatever." But when he started to play, she just cried. She just forgot his color. So that's a very interesting thing. Because if you have a really uh, strong art, people tend to forget your color or your religion, your sexual orientation, or whatever. So, great one. I totally recommend. What a wonderful world.